Hey gang, it's Ian from Peach Dragon, and I wanted to talk to beginners about which primary weapon they could be using. There are four primary weapons: auto rifles, hand cannons, pulse rifles, and scout rifles. Auto rifles, like the one I'm using right now, have high damage fall off. You saw where those numbers earlier were 188, now they're 206. The closer you get to the enemy, the higher the damage is going to be. Which means that obviously the auto rifles encourage you to get right up close and personal with the enemy. If you're into that, if you're into like skirting up next to the enemy, getting within spitting distance before killing them, then auto rifles might be for you. You can still kill from farther away, it's just going to take a little bit longer, it's going to take more bullets. Good stats for this are stability and range. You want to max out your stability so that you can do this without having to worry about crazy recoil patterns like that. And then range is important because you can minimize your damage fall off with range. This is a high range, high stability auto rifle, so it's a little bit better than most. It also has glass half full, which is one of my favorite perks. It says when you get towards the bottom of the magazine, you do more damage than you did before. So that's kind of nice. Hand cannons, on the other hand, are not spray and pray weapons. Instead of firing off a bunch of bullets and hoping a few of them hit, these rely much more on specific bullets hitting, but they do a lot more damage per bullet. So instead of 200 damage, these are hitting like 600. This is crowd control, so they're hitting even more than that sometimes. Crowd control says after killing an enemy, you'll do more. Hand cannons also suffer from range fall off, but they're built for farther ranges, so their range will already naturally be higher. They're pretty decent for taking out these big yellow guys. They also have a tendency to stagger. The most important thing on a hand cannon is going to be the impact, because it's going to determine how much each bullet does, and usually the range is going to be important, because they did nerf the range to hand cannons recently, so a high range hand cannon is going to have less damage fall off, and you're really going to want to focus on lining up those shots and dealing as much damage as possible. Next is the pulse rifle. Pulse rifles are a favorite right now. Pulse rifles require high stability so that you can hit all three of these burst fire rounds at people. This one's very good. I'm sure you can see that even at long ranges, all three of those bullets are hitting almost exactly on top of each other. However, the same can't be said for all pulse rifles. Most pulse rifles are going to be pretty bad. Some of them pull up into the left, like spare change 25, but if you can find one with high stability, awesome. If you can find one with perks that increase its stability, awesome. Stability is the most important stat. The second one is probably either impact, or it might even be rate of fire, because if you've got a high impact one, then you're going to want to, if you have a high stability one, then you're going to want to keep firing as often as you can. These are good for mid to long ranges, so you can actually be getting those shots pretty far away, if you can aim. And you don't have to worry about damage fall off nearly as much, because they are built with these higher ranges already built in. The modifiers are good. So you can see like those were hitting 251. If I come up to a closer one, unless everybody near me shoots all of my enemies, even at closer ranges, they're dealing the same damage. Yeah, there's 254, so there was a damage fall off of 3 from there to here. Like, that's nothing. But if that's still too much for you, this is basically a miniature scout, or a miniature sniper rifle. This is the scout rifle. This specific one is the hung jury, which is available at the vendor, the dead orbit vendor, for however many legendary marks. And look at this, just huge damage from far away. I love the hung jury. It's probably my go-to. If I'm not using a hand cannon, I'm using the hung jury. But scout rifles are great for long ranges. You don't have to worry about the range stat at all, because there's almost zero fall off for your scout rifle. The biggest things you have to worry about are impact, to make sure that you're dealing a lot of damage to these far away guys, and I guess, I don't know, scout rifles pretty much operate the same. Rate of fire is probably the second one, because if you're shooting somebody and he ducks behind cover, it's nice to get that second shot off before he manages to get behind cover. like especially the yellow bar enemies. Anyway, scout rifles pair well with shotguns, pulse rifles pair well with shotguns, hand cannons and auto rifles pair well with sniper rifles. Just pick the playstyle that fits you. If you're like an action, rough and tumble guy, then get in there and use a hand cannon and an auto rifle. Or if you're like you want to sit back and shoot people from a distance and duck behind cover constantly, then like maybe you want to use a scout rifle or a pulse rifle. For those of you who are not beginners, who already know all of this, then don't worry. I'm going to make detailed guides about each one of the guns later on. I'm going to talk about hidden stats like aim assist. I'm going to talk about bullet magnetism. I'm going to talk about what that means on different guns, because it is different. A sniper rifle's aim assist is going to be different than a shotgun's aim assist. They mean different things, despite being the same stat. And I'm excited to get those videos to you. But in the meantime, I want the beginners to know what the different guns look like without having to fully level a gun that turns out they don't want to use. That's it. Can't wait to see you next time. Peace out.